Thank you, Finn Goodson, Captain of Squash for 2024, for meeting with us this morning. So, Finn, what is your first memory of playing squash, and how did you get involved with squash at Auckland Grammar?
Well, I used to play a lot of tennis with my brother, but it simply just rained too much, so we played what we thought was indoor tennis on the indoor tennis courts, and that really quickly turned to squash and became the sport that I love now. To get into squash at Auckland Grammar, I was about 2 or 3 weeks into grammar as a third former, just sitting in assembly, and Mr. Lasker pulled me aside. I thought I was terrified, thought I'd done something wrong, and then just invited me to a training, and the rest is history.
And what are your thoughts on being appointed Captain of Squash for 2024?
Well, obviously I was ecstatic to know I'd be captain, but then I realised that it's felt like yesterday since I was a third former, looking up to my captain back then, Leo and Apa Fatialofa. So now I realise that I'm following in his footsteps and the footsteps of all captains past, and I'm really looking forward to leading this team.
So do you have anybody you look up to, perhaps any squash players?
Professionally, Paul Cole definitely comes to mind. His work ethic is outstanding and his grittiness on court is something that I aspire to have. But more recently is Apa Fatialofa, the past captain in 2022. He's just a really good person and his style of squash is really entertaining, so I aspire to be more like that and have his leadership qualities.
Cool. And could you describe to me your strengths and weaknesses in your squash game?
I really look to use my power and speed to my advantage, but I pair that with a very solid driving game and base game. Right now I'm training on really finishing the point when I get the opportunity to, especially around the 10 in the short game.
Cool. And could you tell me any other sports or extracurriculars that maybe help improve your squash game?
Well, I used to row, and that really taught me how to train and train properly. So I've used that training for squash now. And so now I do lots of cardio work and a lot of plyometric work to build up my speed and strength. In coaching, I'm training with a former NZ representative, and he does a lot of pressure work with me so I can get used to higher pace players.
Cool.
I do also do a lot of solo trainings just to work on technical aspects alone, and then I put those into game against much player betters than myself during practice matches.
So how do you balance all this squash training and academics?
Well, at the start of each week I really try to map out my squash and then focus on academics when I'm not doing squash. And also when I'm in class time, I really utilise it and focus every moment.
And Finn, do you have any short-term goals this season?
I'm currently graded at B1 and I really like to make A grade in the next few months. Regarding the team, we've been doing really well, especially in Auckland competition, so we'll look to bring that to the national level and hopefully get a top 3 finish.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time, Finn. It's been a pleasure, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Thanks.